The IDF has killed 2 high-level Iranians in airstrikes, possibly eliminating one of the remaining good faith negotiators and moderates that could have brought an end to the war eventually. Now that includes Gholam Reza Soleimani, who's the head of the Basij militia. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing some of this. And Ali Larijani, who is was the head of Iran's Supreme National Security Council. Both were killed in a strike last night. Now, before we get to the details, Cenk, your 2 cents.
So I think that the 2 important parts of the story is did these killings help or hurt our cause in Iran, and why did Israel do them? So that's very important. Anna, tell us the facts.
So President Trump did address these killings in a meeting this morning with the Irish Prime Minister. So they had a bit of a press conference, and Trump decided to weigh in on this. So let's take a look.
Everything is gone. Their leaders are gone. I guess one of their top person was, they say, a lot of people say their actual top was killed yesterday, along with somebody else who was responsible for the killing, the man that was responsible for the killing of 32,000 people over the last 2 weeks. He was in charge of the killing of protesters. It's an evil group. I mean, they've killed much more than 32,000 people. And the man who was responsible for that was also killed yesterday.
The 32,000 number that gets thrown around by people who love this war in Iran is made up. It's totally made up. 32,000. I thought it was 30,000. Now it's 32,000. Totally made up number. I had one of our producers do a deep dive to figure out where did that number come from? Maybe there's a source. Maybe we can at least understand it from that perspective. No, it's totally made up. Totally made up. And also, if you're gonna tell us that there are Mossad agents on the ground agitating, arming people, and those armed individuals are doing things like, I don't know, breaking into the Palestinian ambassador's office to try to kill her, that's gonna make me realize, oh, well, maybe some of the killing wasn't carried out by the IRCG. Maybe some of the killings were carried out by the armed agitators. So when I say we don't know how many people were killed by the IRCG, this is why I say it.
And so this goes to the bias of the so-called objective media. So when Gaza Health Ministry had verified numbers that all the human rights groups agreed with, they were like, well, there could be Hamas, I don't know. No, skeptical about the numbers. Almost everyone in media put a caveat on it, but it's given to us by dirty Palestinians. Now the Israelis make up a number about the Iranians. No one even asked for a source. We're literally the only ones saying, hey, look guys, we're curious about it because we think the Iranian regime is bad overall. Minus Israel in this ridiculous war. I wish they weren't in charge. I believe that they might have killed a lot of protesters. But so where's your source? They're like, shut up, anti-Semite. The Israelis are allowed to make up anything they like. So that number is 100% made up.
Yeah, sorry for that detour. That's not really the heart of this story.
But it's important because you should know that the media lies on behalf of Israel very regularly.
I mean, Piers Morgan did. Piers Morgan got mad at me because he like jotted out that number. And so I pushed back against it.
Yeah, he's just like, whenever you challenge him, he gets all his dander up. But anyway, let's keep going.
Anyway, so per the New York Times, Ali Larijani had a reputation for being able to bridge the country's hardline military elements and more moderate political factions. His killing in an Israeli airstrike on Tuesday could open the way for Iran's military to tighten its grip over the ruling system. In other words, by killing this guy, the IRCG will be far more hardline. Okay, so kill the Ayatollah who put out, who was against building nuclear weapons, by the way, to Iran's detriment at this point. And now he's replaced by his son, who is probably more of a hardliner now that many of his family members have been slaughtered by the US and the Israelis. On top of that, though he was a veteran conservative politician, Larijani had a reputation as a relative pragmatist within a system increasingly dominated by hardliners. Internally, he had pushed for a moderate supreme leader to replace Ayatollah Khamenei. Now that Israel has killed him, assassinated him, and I honestly think they did it on purpose. You think that Israeli intelligence didn't know that he was one of the individuals who would bridge divides, was more moderate, was more likely to be the individual engaging in peace negotiations?
There's no question they knew, Anna. So first of all, their intelligence is excellent. So they knew that he was one of the few guys who actually could have made a deal with the Americans to end the war. It's a well-established fact that Israel does not want to end the war. It's also a well-established fact that on several occasions, Israel either killed peace negotiators or tried to kill peace negotiators. And in fact, they've killed Iran's peace negotiators in the past. Why? Because the Israelis are warmongers. They've attacked 7 of their neighbors. They are constantly expanding their territory and taking more and more land from all of their neighbors. And they love war, they hate peace. That's why they've occupied the Palestinians for 58 years. So in this case, did we kill the only last potential peacemaker? And plus, one last thing about it, guys. Think about it. We already have intelligence, and it's all over the papers, so obviously both governments know that the regime is getting dug in, and the more you kill their leaders, the more they dig in, because you're only leaving the radicals behind. And not only that, you're teaching them a lesson, which is if you go to negotiate with the Americans, they murder you. But if you're a hardliner, then you're at least a little safer, right?
You're a little safer because they can point to you as the reason why they feel threatened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they tried the regime change at the beginning. Well, let's kill the top 49 guys. But they also killed 2 or 3 guys in there that Trump has said repeatedly we could have made a deal with.
Right.
Israel, oops, did we kill those guys too? Okay, but you tried to topple the regime by doing a decapitation strike and it didn't work. They dug in. So now you do another one. At a bare minimum, guys, they could do this 3, 4, 18 times. It's not gonna move them except digging them in more and more. Every new guy becomes more radical. And if that you think the Israelis don't know that, obviously they know that. And they want to drive us further into war, and they want our ground troops on the ground.
Or they're trying to liberate the people of Iran. Yeah,
you really have to be the dumbest person in America to believe.
Well, they exist. They're in Beverly Hills. It's the Iranian diaspora.
No, but like those guys, I get it. Like they're biased. They want Israel to murder Iranians so they can go back and get rich again and again and again. So I've got no love for them, and I got no use for them.
Rich again? They're living in Beverly Hills.
I know. No, they want to get richer. They're like, I want more money, more land and power like I had in Iran, right? So I got it, guys. I got it. You don't care about America at all. And you don't care about the Iranian people. You only care about you, okay? But that's not, to me, I get it. At least we know what their motivation is. Our media, we don't know why Israel's killing these peace negotiators. Shh, don't ever say it, anti-Semitic. Is it true? Yeah, it's true. But their job is not to cover the news, it's to cover up the news. So we're further into the war, and Israel is demanding we send in ground troops to get the regime out. So one more thing, the Basij militia, they're over 1 million people. And so I'm not in favor of the Basij militia. They're the ones that are like religious police, etc. As an atheist, they'd come for me. I got no interest in them. But did killing their leader make them less likely to stay in power or more likely to stay in power? Every day that these guys are killed, more Iranians rally around the flag and go and defend them. So you're making the job of ending this regime actually much harder. But you know what? There is one way you could solve this, they think in their minds. If we could just trick America into putting in ground troops, then they'll have to go further and further into the war until we finally eliminate the 1 million strong Basij militia, which will probably take tens of thousands of American lives, but it doesn't matter for Israel and Persians who live in Beverly Hills. It's no skin off their ass. It's not like they're signing up for the war. They're just gonna feed Americans into the meat grinder on their own behalf.
All right, well, Trita Parsi from the Quincy Center for Responsible Statecraft had similar analysis, so let's skip through that. But there are serious questions about how effective these attacks really are. So the Washington Post reported that despite more than 2 weeks of relentless airstrikes, US intelligence assessments say Iran's regime likely will remain in place for now, weakened, but more hardline, with the powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps security forces exerting exerting greater control. Western officials and analysts who study Iran said they see little near-term prospect of a regime change end to the 47-year-old Islamic Republic or the rise of a more democratic government. Iran more or less confirmed these concerns when their foreign minister publicly denounced a ceasefire on Face the Nation.
President Trump said this weekend he is not ready to make a deal with Iran because the terms aren't good enough yet. His administration is saying this war could last another 3.5 weeks or so. Has Iran asked for a ceasefire?
No, we never asked for a ceasefire, and we have never asked even for negotiation. We are ready to defend ourselves as long as it takes.
The Iranians see this as a fight for survival, and so they're not interested in a ceasefire. They're interested in punishing the US and Israel to a point where this war will finally end. They're not gonna have to worry about more war 6 months from now. And by the way, as this war drags on, Trump's loyalists are quietly concerned, let's just put it that way, at the very real prospect of not having an end in sight. So more than 2 weeks into the campaign, some allies believe the president no longer controls how or when the war ends. That's reported by Politico. I guess they're anti-Semitic. Sounds like an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. I'm kidding. Further, they write that they fear Iran's attacks on oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, which have rattled global crude markets and threatened broader economic distress, are boxing Trump into a situation where escalating the conflict, potentially even putting American boots on the ground, becomes the only way to credibly claim victory.
So, the framing of all the articles is, well, I guess Donald Trump doesn't have a choice. He's gonna have to put in ground troops. Otherwise, it would be humiliating, and there was a red line, and they have all of these triggers and talking points and propaganda to make it seem like ground troops and an endless war is inevitable. There's nothing we could do. I mean, there's no way Donald Trump can win unless he puts in ground troops. Then he'd have a really good chance. And then once they get killed, then obviously you have to avenge them and put in bigger ground troops. Otherwise, you're super weak, Donald. You don't want to be weak, do you? I mean, it's almost like the media and all of his advisors and all the politicians are working in concert, almost as if. Remember, you have no choice but to do Israel's wars, no choice at all, and you have to put in the ground troops. All right, meanwhile, Dropsite News is reporting that no, Iran has definitively refused to answer any of our calls for ceasefires. They're like, nope, not interested. Not interested in the ceasefire. Because if we do a ceasefire like we did the last time around, all you're gonna do is reload and hit us again. So why would we do that? As George W. Bush once famously said, there's a saying in Texas, maybe in Tennessee too, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me can't get fooled again. So basically Iranians are saying, no, you're not gonna fool us again. We're gonna keep going and going and going until your interceptor missiles are out. And then Israel and your bases and your ships are vulnerable. So no. Oops, now how are you gonna get out? You can't. So Israel, well played. You got us into a quagmire we can't get out of. By the way, there is a way out. You just leave and go, hey, Israel, you wanted this war? Your problem, not my problem. By the way, Iran, the minute we stop attacking them, they stop attacking us and are no longer our problem at all.
They never were our problem.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.